Hi, I recently watched Tom Tykwer's Hologram for the King, his adaptation of Dave Eggers' novel and starring Tom Hanks. It's the story of a man who, having reached something of a crossroads in his professional life, is sent out by his employer to the Middle East to meet with the King of Saudi Arabia with regard to installing a complex IT system in a new technology city that's being developed in the country. He finds that things in Saudi Arabia are rather different to the way they are in the West, and that he strikes up a friendship with the driver he's forced to rely on when he is unable to get his sleep rhythms in check to catch the bus out to the facility each day. Um, he notices a growth on his back and sees a doctor, discovers that it's actually needs immediate surgery, and develops a further bond with his female doctor, female doctors being rather unusual in Saudi Arabia, and slowly starts to find a new place for himself, find a new way of living his life. I was attracted to the film because it's a reunion of Tykwer and Hanks, who had made Cloud Atlas a couple of years earlier, although with a huge supporting cast and Tykwer co-directing with the Wachowskis. And for the most part, I really enjoyed this. I think that it's a very underrated performance by Tom Hanks. He's someone who is he disappears off in sort of fantasy moments. There's a sequence at the beginning where, while he's on the plane, he imagines himself performing um, Talking Heads Once in a Lifetime to the camera with altered lyrics as parts of his life disappear in puffs of smoke behind him. There's a running thread about his relationship with his university aged daughter and uh, struggling to reconcile the ideals of his life with the true circumstances, as well as the relationships he develops with the people he meets in Saudi. I really enjoyed it, as I say, for the most part. I, I'll avoid specific spoilers, but the film completely falls apart about 10 minutes from the end, because just as it feels like it's moving into the third act of the story, everything is wrapped up extremely quickly with voiceover narration and a montage sequence, which then ties up the story very rapidly. And I would very happily have watched another 40 minutes of the movie to give it a full sense of conclusion, a sense of our main character completing his dramatic journey. Um, and I would happily have sat through an hour and 15, 20, 25-minute version of this story rather than see it very rapidly tied up in well under 2 hours. Um, it's a very well directed film. It's brilliantly acted. Hanks is, again, it's one of his finest performances, but it's also one of his least successful films. It's the lowest grossing film on which he's ever had top billing. I think because it's an odd film, it was poorly promoted. Tykwer is not a commercial director, even if he knows how to handle a film of that kind of scale. Um, I found it, in that sense, very disappointing. Perhaps the book is more expansive, perhaps it isn't. I don't know. I haven't read it. I'd be interested to if it does fill in that extra material that I was hoping for, rather than just telescoping that last third down to only 10 minutes. The story does come to a satisfying conclusion, but it feels like we're just skipping over highlights rather than actually seeing what happens to this character and really engaging with the conclusion of his story. So it's a partial recommendation. It's not a bad film necessarily, but I think that shift at the end tips the balance away from it.